Well,
Yeah.
hey, like I say, we're just having that conversation once again, and um,
hmm
so you get new clients, onboarding new clients. That's always great. Are they
Yeah.
um going to be, I guess you would say, unique or just kind of same type clients?
No, we actually wound up getting so the five clients that we got this month, two are on our standard SEO packages. So we're just
Okay,
doing the full SEO work for them, a lot of content, a lot of static pages, blog posts, Google Business Profile optimization, the whole gamut of stuff. We have one
okay.
client that is just doing Google Business Page. So we're helping them
Oh,
out with a Google Business Page. We're posting on a weekly basis to their Google Business Page. We're going to help them with um, getting on that map pack, making sure that they're in that map pack.
yeah.
We have one client that we're starting off that we've never really done this on a standalone before, but we're
Okay,
we're we're helping him with his LinkedIn
okay,
profile. So he has completely ignored his LinkedIn. It's not his thing. He has no time for it. So we're going to
okay.
help him build out his LinkedIn profile for both his personal and his company. So we're going to do the company stuff, and we're going to send him stuff to post on his own for his personal. And then I got a new website. So a gentleman who I reached out to on LinkedIn and who
Yeah.
I've spoken to a couple times. He's needs a brand new redesign on his website, so we're going to be doing that for him.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's real cool. Yeah.
hmm It's a
Well,
lot
I
of different
mean,
stuff.
how's things changed now? Like, for instance, they were talking early summer about Google changing the way the search results are.
hmm
Leveraging more of their Gemini AI results over
Yeah.
the traditional organic. How's that kind of changed the landscape when it comes to SEO versus AEO?
Yeah. It's so what I always like to say is that like SEO is like people say SEO is dead, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the thing. So as SEO search has never changed. The volume of search
Hmm.
is either still the same or it's going up, right? People are still looking for things online. So, but now I think there was a stat I read recently in Contently that said that just over 25% of Google searches triggered an
Hmm.
AI overview in the first quarter of
Okay.
this year. Okay. So that's up about 13%
Okay.
from the year before. Okay.
Hmm.
And then what I'm also seeing, the difference over year is that like, you know what a zero click search is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like zero click searches are rising to around 60%. Okay. So
Really?
yeah. So that's what we're seeing is
Hmm.
all that zero click search, which is hence why we're offering Google Business Page optimization. We're offering, the AEO optimization, so that way they can get cited and not have to worry about people going to their website. So what I'm seeing is that probably around 60%
Hmm.
of Google searches now are ending without a single click to the website. The AI
Yeah.
answer shows up, and then that's like an 80% when that happens. So it's like you ranking
Hmm.
like you used to, where nobody clicks, is like having a billboard on a road that's closed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I'm seeing the big shift right now is a zero click search is the fact that I think you brought it up when we spoke before, search everywhere optimization, that you've got to be everywhere because not everybody's going to your website. Your website is still a paramount trust signal for both Google and for Google to
Hmm.
show the user.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, the way I like to liken it and then simplify it is like Google or the AI overviews or even now ChatGPT and Perplexity and that the LLMs. They're saying, hey, we did a lot of research.
Hmm.
You trust us, so here's the person you want to contact for whatever you're searching for. And if
Yeah.
you want, you can go behind me and there's their store and you can go in. But I'm
Okay.
telling you right now, just call. You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's like a zero click search.
And here's the thing, if you don't have a website, I
Hmm.
mean, most of the AIs, they do most of their data gathering from what you have on your website. So if you don't have a website, it limits your opportunity to really even show up for that because they're like, well, I mean, like you said before, going on a billboard on a road that's closed, it's sort of like, you're saying I have a business, and they're like, what's the address? Yeah, I don't have that. Do you have a business, or what's going on? You don't have a physical address, so it's the same thing. I mean, the AI and the search engines are like, if you don't have a website, where are we going to send them
Hmm.
to? And and
Exactly.
and now instead of let's say an advertisement sending a person to a location. Now it's more of word of mouth, but AI is now the word of mouth. Now AI is like, hey, the best person to call, just call this number here, you know.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's definitely changed.
Yeah, it's definitely changed, and that's the and that's the way I look at it. It's like you said, it's the word of mouth. It's like they're the wise men. Remember the wise man on the mountain? That
Yeah,
people go up and ask
yeah,
stuff. So in the past, they would say, well, here's a list of 5 people, and here's how to find them, and here's where to go. Or here's a list
yeah,
of 10 people, right? Because it was the Google results were 10.
yeah,
If that wise man got maybe a little bribe, from the business, well, they would show up top. That's your
yeah,
Google ad, right? The
yeah,
bribe is the Google ad. Now they're basically just saying straight out, oh, it's Jeff. Go to Jeff. He's
yeah,
he's the guy. You go here. Or, oh, you're in where are you from? You're from Atlanta? Okay, here are the top 3 that are in Atlanta, and here's what other people are saying about them, the trust signals. There's the way I look at it
yeah,
is like there's 4 pillars. The main one is the website. And I know people like to say, do I really need a website? I've got all this other stuff going on. Yes, like you said, you do need a website. It's got to have content. It's got to show your authority, the EEAT signals, right? You got to have all that stuff there. But it's part of a broader infrastructure, including your Google business profile, your
mm-hmm,
social media, and
mm-hmm,
any kind of other directory links that you're in. So if you've got, if you're on Yelp, or if you've got you're in other directories like a BIA or something like that, that
yeah,
holistically is what triggers the LLMs and Google to recommend you as the source for whatever the searcher is looking for.
yeah. And even to that point now, just to dig deep. And then I'm gonna give a side note. Let me give a side note real quick about that guru on the hill. I need to learn how to grow my beard to where my beard is long and braided, so I look like I know what I'm talking about. You
Jeff, we
know,
should do it. Let's do it. We're gonna look like
this is
we're
as
gonna look
far
like
as
we're
it'll
you're
ever go, though. It
we're
never
gonna look
grows
like those guys.
more than this.
Yeah, those guys from Lord of the Rings. That's what it look like. Just long,
Yes.
long beards.
I met a guy a couple of weeks ago, and he had his, and it was braided, and it went down to about mid chest. I was like, how?
Hmm.
And he looked so wise. I mean, he was short. He had a bald head and a long
Hmm.
beard and tattoos. I was like,
Hmm.
this guy knows something about something. I don't know what he knows, but he knows something about something. But yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Now it's search has become even more complex because before you would do a search, it would give you results. You would click the link, you would then go do your due diligence. Now you just type in the AI more about it. Okay, you gave us 5 results, but out of those 5 results, and you ask more questions and you do more research, and then it gives you. So let's say you don't have a website, or let's say that your website is real skimpy and it doesn't answer questions. You may be in the top 5, and then it says, well, what about this? And it goes and it looks and it says, well, this website doesn't have any information. I'm definitely not going to recommend them over their competitors. Their competitors answered this question that that person had. This is who I'm going to recommend now. And like a trusted advisor, most people aren't going to pretty much dispute the recommendation. They're going to say,
Hmm.
oh, okay, well, sounds good to me, you
Hmm.
know. And so if you don't have that content, like you say, those other signals, you don't have the LinkedIn, you don't have the Yelp reviews, you don't have the citations. You don't have to Google my business. You don't. It's going to say, well, yeah, they may or may not really be your best choice because I don't find much about them. And
Mhm.
this particular company answers all these questions that you have.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and then and what I with the real benefit of that is it really narrows down and the customer intent or the searcher's intent
Yeah.
on this. Because what happens is if somebody's looking for doing a rudimentary search, and in the past you were showing up number one in the search results, well, it might not be your ideal customer profile because the intent might not be there. Like it might be a very simple question, like and toilet repair. Okay.
Hmm.
And some plumbers back in the day might say, I want to rank number one for toilet repair. But
Hmm.
what is that person looking for? Is that person looking for how to? Is that person looking for parts? Is that
Yes.
person, looking potentially for a job? Who knows? What the AI does now with, like you said, the further questions down the road, it's really narrowing the intent focus. So when the final question shows up, there is going to be so much information that the searcher is giving that it's going to give the right recommendation for that search. So somebody's looking for, I need somebody to come in and fix my Toto toilet in Athens, Georgia. Okay. And I want to make sure that they guarantee results. Who should
Yeah.
I call? Then you know that that person is looking for somebody looking for the business. They're not looking for a how-to guide or a DIY video, right?
Yeah.
And it's like for any business, the more content and FAQs and static pages about your services and your reputation as well, which is very important.
Yeah.
What it does is when you do get those drill down high transactional intent buyers searching, you'll show
Hmm.
up.
And what about those companies that are late to the party? So, like, years ago, we talked about SEO and we always talked about, hey, you need to be writing content for a blog and you need to be doing this, that, and the third. And those that were not doing blogs, we're not doing social media, we're not doing, gathering reviews, we're not doing all these things that over the years were recommended. How do you get in the game now? Now.
Yeah. Well, it's like that old adage. When was the best time to start? 3 years ago.
Yeah.
When's the second best time to start? Today. Right?
Yeah.
I always recommend to clients, because usually like clients that I deal with, they are late to the party, right? People will come to me not because they're doing super great on their lead generation, or maybe they are doing great on their lead generation. They want to bump it up. What I always recommend is patience. And I hate to just say this, and then this is going to sound like I'm going to say there's no magic formula. The
Hmm.
If you wanted to do paid ads to increase the amount of immediate customers and you have the
Yeah.
budget for it, then that's the best way to do it online. To say, look, we need a big influx of business. What do I do? Then you run a Google Ads campaign, you run a Meta Ads campaign, you just go whatever, you spend the money and you build that out. If you have the wherewithal to say, hey, look, we need to grow, we're lagging behind. I see, people have been posting for years. They're ranking number one in the maps and everything like that, or in the LLMs. You just have to
Hmm.
start. You can't. And now I'm going to say this: flooding your content, flooding your site with content immediately isn't
Hmm.
going to fix things. Okay,
Okay.
you need to do regular blogging. You need to update your site on a consistent basis in your social media, right? You can't just
Hmm.
throw stuff out and expect to compete with the people who Google and the LLMs have already established as the go-to source. You have to
Yeah.
get in there because, like I said, EEAT, expertise, experience, authoritativeness, and trust, right? And that takes time, right? That takes reputation. Like I said,
Yeah.
if you want a big blast at the beginning, paid search, paid
Yeah.
social, but it's just patience. But you got to get started. And that's what I always tell clients too. Like, well, how long is this going to take? Well, I always tell them, like, you're starting almost at zero. And you're in and depending on your marketplace, it could take 6 months, it could take a year. And I
Yeah,
don't like to put a negativity around it, but look, if you're building a house, you can't build a house in a day. You need
yeah,
time. You got to build your foundation. You got to make sure the quality is good. You got to get inspected. You got to make sure the finishes are good. So it takes time.
yeah. And then one other thing to remember, some of these AI platforms, I'm not going to say LMMs because those non-techs won't know what that is.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Some of
Yeah.
these AI platforms like ChatGPT and so forth, if you don't have a pro account, if the person that's searching doesn't have a pro account, they're getting information that's 2 years old.
Hmm.
So if you haven't been doing it 2 years ago and you start doing it now, it may or may not render your information to those that don't have a pro account. And the average searcher probably does not have a pro chat GPT account, you know.
Correct.
So keep that in mind. Now, there's ways around that. So this isn't a death sentence. There's ways around that, but keep that in mind that if you say, well, I'll just keep waiting, the more you keep waiting until they change that policy, the further behind you're going to be.
Yeah.
Which I
And I
think
don't
they'll
think they're going
change
to
that
change it.
policy soon. Yeah,
You think they're going to change it,
I
Jeff?
do.
Like,
I do.
yeah.
Because to be competitive in their space, if you're running on AI is based on data, and people don't really know that. AI in social media too, just like Facebook and all that, it's a data machine. That's their
Mhm.
currency. And if you're running 2 year old data versus something that's willing to go ahead and open up the floodgates to recent data, that recent data is going to be more valuable and people will start trending toward that particular platform. And then
Mhm.
once the first one does it, everybody else is just going to follow suit. Right now, it's a good way to get revenue for those businesses that are looking for up to date data. But I think sooner or later they'll just make it, across the board.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I just feel like that, it's always in my business. I'm not sure if you've seen the same thing, Jeff, that a lot of business owners, they do push this off, right?
Hmm.
And not because of any fault of their own. Like there's sometimes they're in the warehouse, they're working on the forklifts, or they're
Yeah,
meeting with clients, or they're working late and they're finishing their tax returns and for their all that other stuff. And marketing, I'm going to say, marketing's always like the redheaded stepchild of the family, right? Like
it
it's
is.
always the one.
Yeah,
It's just always like, for usually if times are tight, the first
yeah.
cut
First thing you
is your
cut
marketing,
is the
right?
marketing. Yeah,
Is marketing. Yeah, marketing is what triggers the business growth, right? Like you believe, word mouth, referrals. People say, "Oh, I get referrals and word of mouth stuff." Well, that's marketing, right? You
yeah.
have somebody, a customer, who's marketing for you. Now imagine that word of mouth, okay, if you were to amplify it,
Hmm.
okay, take that word of mouth and be able to spread it out through the internet to all the major players who are now acting as your goodwill ambassador for your company, your salesperson that works for you 24/7. And that's the other thing that a lot of people don't realize. I talked with somebody who was like, I am a one-to-one person. I like talking to people and discussing how great my business is and all the stuff I've done. And that is awesome. You should always
Yeah.
be. Now imagine, I said to him, imagine if you could do that 24/7, no
Hmm.
matter what. So if somebody is sitting there and a potential client and it's 8 o'clock at night and you're done or you're on vacation or whatever, they can at least see you and what you offer and answer all the questions, show your expertise, tell them, all the experience that you've had, see some case studies, read your reviews, everything like that. So that way their decision to buy is 85 to 90% made up by the time they contact you.
Yeah.
That is what digital marketing is.
Yeah. Yeah. And whenever I work with clients, I let them know systems actually generate and grow businesses more than anything else. And
Mhm.
putting those systems, those marketing systems in place that work when you're not even there.
Mhm.
Think about this. I'm gonna tell on myself a little bit because I've outgrown this now. Finally. But McDonald's has been marketing for so long that when I used to get hungry, it would be my go-to, especially when I'm hungry and I don't know what I want to eat. I would default to McDonald's, and that was only because of the marketing they've done and and the branding in my mind since I was a child. That whenever I got hungry and frustrated, I would just be like, I'll just go to McDonald's. And it wasn't because the food was good, because it wasn't. I would
Mhm.
instantly regret it after
Mhm.
buying it. I'd taken the first couple of bites, I'd instantly regret it. It wasn't because it was, anything else besides the marketing they've done over the years made them the authority when it came to fast food. And so I would default to, man, I'm hungry. It would take me longer to go get it than to go heat up something in the microwave. But I would be like, nope, I'm going to McDonald's, I'm gonna get something to eat. And that was just marketing over time, now making me a loyal customer. Even though I knew it was bad for my health, even though I knew that it was not cheap anymore, because they're not cheap anymore. It was all these negative things I would just discount because their marketing was so good over time. It became a staple into my decision making when it came to food.
Yeah, and that's branding, right? That's
Yeah,
just that develops their brand recognition now, right? So you automatically when you see that sign as you're driving down the highway or anytime, you already know what it's about, right? You
yeah,
know the experience, you know the feeling, in essence, you know what the cost around is going to
yeah,
be, and it's an automatic now reaction. It's like everything else, and that's what makes those big brands so at the forefront of our minds.
yeah,
Starbucks and McDonald's and Home Depot and all those other big brands because it's that marketing that's been ingrained in us as consumers' heads that has
yeah,
built that brand recognition. And some people, it's funny for small mid-sized businesses, it's you always kind of say, oh, well, I want to really focus on my brand and my brand. Well, you know, your brand, I think the mistaken side of that is not your brand so much as it's your brand positioning, how you're positioning yourself in the marketplace,
yeah,
right? How you want to give yourself what experience do you want to give to your customers? So if you're a small burger joint, right? And that's what and you want to convey in your marketing, whether it's on your social, on your website, on any directories, if you go offline, if you're doing TV or radio or print or billboards or whatever, is taking that as taking that message that what people are going to expect when they come to you and
yeah.
what you are conveying to them. And it's tough. Like I said, McDonald's didn't do it overnight. Home Depot didn't do it
No,
overnight. Starbucks didn't do it overnight.
no. It's just like the Krispy Kreme's hot donut sign. You don't
Oh
even
yeah.
want donuts, but you
No.
just know that when that sign comes on, I need to go get me a couple of these glazed donuts because the hot
Yeah.
donut sign's on. And it's not even that you want donuts. It's just they've
Hmm.
done such a good job. And I think with the small businesses, once you understand your audience and what you really bring to the table as a value, then you can, you know, key in on that with your marketing and position yourself accordingly.
Yep.
Going back to that plumbing, it's not about the actual plumbing work. It's what underlying benefits do you bring to the table that your plumbing does. It might be something as stupid as and simple as you don't want to get your hands dirty. Because most of
Hmm.
the time, the things that they do you can do. I just had a sink in my bathroom fixed that I don't know. I won't blame which one of them did it, but hair clogged the sink. And I tried to put stuff in it and it wouldn't work. And I had to call a plumber. and took him 10 minutes. He went under the sink, he unscrewed, took the pipe loose, said, "See all this hair?" And it was dangling down. "See all this hair? This was clogged it." Pulled it out, screwed it back, charged me over $100.
Hmm.
But could I have done that? Yes, I could have. But he was the expert at it. He was the authority at it.
Hmm.
Um, I probably would have unscrewed it, probably would not have screwed it back correctly, then would have had a water leak, then would have had to pay somebody to fix the thing that I just messed up because I didn't know how to screw it back properly, or something of that nature. But, position yourself as the key thing was I didn't want to have my hands dirty. I didn't want to crawl up under the sink. I just want somebody to come fix it quick. And
Hmm.
he was quick. He came same day. He fixed it. He was out within 30 minutes tops, you know. And that was a convenience to me, not the fact that he got the job done. I could have looked at YouTube. I could have figured it out. I could have done it. But the fact that those were the conveniences of it. So
Hmm.
understanding what's convenient and keying in on that. Once you key in on that,
Yeah, always. It's always about, look, there's two things, right? Price and value,
yeah,
right? Look, the guy could have come in there, look, and there's going to be a price and there's going to be a value, and if it matches up, then you have a deal. So for you, what is $100?
yeah,
Yeah. So if the guy said, "I'll fix that for $100," right? 10 minutes, boom, done. There's value. He might have said $200, and you would have still seen the value. This
yeah,
when he goes up to, maybe, let's say, okay, that's $500. You might go, you know what? I could probably do that myself. No, thank
yeah, I'll
you.
figure it
Right.
out.
So
Yeah,
there's a point, right? There's always like the seller or the vendor or the service provider sets the price, and the
yeah,
customer sets the value. That's like real estate, right? Like if somebody goes, I would never buy a house, I would never buy a house for that much, or this house for that price. Well, that's because you don't see the value. And of course, if a lot of people
yeah,
don't see the value, then maybe they mispriced it and they have to redo it, right? But that's
yeah,
that's all about the whole business relationship. And that goes back to your McDonald's, right? You're hungry, could you just go to McDonald's and get something, or could you cook something yourself? Heck, if there was no, if nobody saw value in anything anybody was selling,
yeah,
then we'd all be farmers, and growing our own crops, building our own houses, and
yeah,
putting on our own puppet shows for entertainment, and that would be it.
yeah. And the funny part about value is understanding what changes the value. We'll use your house analogy. This house isn't valued at that. But then I say Brad Pitt used to live in this house. All of a sudden, I could
Mm-hmm.
quadruple the value. Same house, same location.
Mm-hmm.
Just this used to be Brad Pitt's house. Oh, well, this $400,000 house now is worth 2 million.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because Brad Pitt used to live here.
Yep.
And it's that simple.
Yeah, or even more simplified on that is the difference on whether somebody sees value in something. Some people see value and some people don't. So you can say this house is located right across the street from a school. Some people who might have, small kids might go, that's perfect. The kids can go right to
Yeah.
school, they can walk across the street. Other people who maybe are retirees or don't have kids might be like, I don't want to be across the street from my school. This is
Yeah.
I would never buy this house. So that's
Yeah.
it's so the same message that goes out, and that's like your customer profile. That's why there's always the ICP, the ideal customer
Yes.
profile. Because if you start marketing, so if I were to market a house across the street from a school to a group of senior citizens,
Yeah.
I am going after the wrong target market. That's not my ideal customer profile, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's something else too. And that helps with the value proposition that you give.
Yeah. And understanding their pain points and influences. Like we'll use my plumbing analogy. Okay, he charged me $100. But let's say my wife and little one was to start complaining more and more about they can't use that sink in the bathroom. He could have charged me 200. If they would have been in my ear long enough, I'd have been like, look, just get it done. Just get it
Mm-hmm.
done. And why? Because I just want to solve this problem,
Mm-hmm.
and he could have used my, I guess you would say complaints from the family as leverage to increase the price. You can go through this for another few days if you want, or you can just get it done now and get it over with, you
Yeah.
know? So knowing that you can use influencers, you can use pain points as leverage to increase your value. That's very important.
hmm And as long as you mentioned earlier, Jeff, about the benefits. As long as look, I always look at rudimentary argument here is that every business is solving a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could be something that's an urgent problem, right? It could be something like with your sink clogged up or anything like that. It could be something like, a problem could be like, well, I'm hungry, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do I want to eat today? Or, I need a vacation. I got to relax. What should I do? Things like that. And there's always something that I always look at with it was called the persuasion equation by a copywriter named Gary Bencivenga, who I used to follow a while ago. He was such a great copywriter. I went to his he had a big retirement party back in wow, how long ago was that? God, it's over 20 years ago. But the persuasion equation was really simple. It was, you had an urgent problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? You had what was it, a unique promise.
Mm-hmm.
You had a user, you had proof,
Okay.
undeniable proof, right,
Mm-hmm.
that you could do this before. And then you had a user-friendly proposition,
Okay.
right? So your offer, right? So it was like if you're, for example, so if you have a clogged sink, I can help get that, problem. I can help get
Mm-hmm.
that sink unclogged. Promise. Uh, I'm a licensed plumber since 2008.
Mm-hmm.
Proof, and I'll do it for $100, and you'll never have a problem again. User-friendly proposition, done. And that's called the persuasion equation. It's really
Wow.
valuable. It's what every time I do copywriting or marketing, I like to think
Okay.
about
That's a good, yeah, that's definitely a good formula to follow. Yeah.
that.
So, yeah. Well, let's switch gears a little bit since we're talking about that. Um, Traffic. We're going to talk about traffic. And I'm going to say it in my AI voice, like Allen Iverson. Traffic? Traffic? We're going to talk about that. When it comes down to it, a lot of people focus on traffic, but do they really understand what that means? So we're going to talk about traffic versus conversions. We're going to talk about virality, going viral versus monetization. What's your
Okay.
take on that?
So traffic versus conversion. So they're both important, right? Like if you
Mm-hmm.
don't have any kind of flow of traffic to your website, to your online presence, then you're going to get zero conversions because you have no traffic. However, the more important part of it is the conversion rate. I
Okay.
am more okay. So what I tell clients all the time, I could get you tens of thousands of visitors to your website every month, no problem. You want to see the traffic chart go up? I
Mm-hmm.
got you, no problem, right? I'm not going to tell you that the conversions are going to happen because I'll buy that traffic, or I'll do maybe some black hat stuff, or I'll just get you thrown all over the internet and potentially blacklisted. Who knows? But you'll see the numbers.
Yeah.
It's all about the conversions. So I look at if you're getting a bunch of tire kickers to your website, you're getting
Mm-hmm.
people who have no reason to be there except because there was uh, fireworks or a bell that goes off, or like in the used car salesman, like the big wind
Oh
sock dummy that
yeah, the
goes off to
dancing
get
wind thing.
attention.
Mm-hmm.
That's all fine and dandy, and what you're looking for is I want somebody that's coming in there that's ready to do what I want them to do on their website. So I see a lot of problems with clients that come to me. They're like in fact, one of the clients I just signed up, he said, I'm getting a ton of lead generation, but I'm not closing any clients. Well, the reason simply is you're getting the wrong kind of traffic. You're
Yeah.
getting people who are not ideal customers for you. Like we went back with the ICP, right? The ideal customer profile.
Yeah.
So, for example, if I'm selling a house across the street from the school, I don't want a line of seniors signing up for the open house.
Yeah.
Okay, I want families who are pre-approved for mortgages who are looking to buy a property in that area. Once again, all about customer intent. So
Yeah.
I'm all for increasing traffic because traffic, you do need to have more people through the door.
Hmm.
Want to have those people through the door, though, who are at a level of ready to convert, ready to either, and the conversion, whatever the conversion is on your site. If you're e-commerce, then to buy a product, but it might be like book an appointment. It could
Yeah.
be, download an ebook, um, book a call for something. So that's how I feel about that.
Okay. Yeah. And that's why I focus so much on that customer experience after the lead is acquired.
Mm-hmm.
Because, once you bring in the traffic, there is another level to conversion from that. You bring them in the
Mm-hmm.
door, then what? I mean, if you don't do anything, then you assume that they're going to take actions that they may not even know what you want. They come to your website, especially those websites, and I'm not dogging these websites, but these websites that are all about us. This is who we are.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we do. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And people are like, okay,
Yeah.
so what does that mean? Because when they're coming to your website, all they care about is how it affects them. They don't really care about you.
Yeah.
And so, what does that customer experience look like? And bringing that traffic, and you keep touched on a very key point, bringing the right traffic to your website or your online presence, and
Mm-hmm.
then putting them through a good customer experience will increase your conversion, and then it makes sense. But just
Mm-hmm.
having traffic, just to have traffic, just to say I have 1 million people that come to my website every month. That okay, that sounds good. And,
Great.
unless you're selling
Mm-hmm.
sponsorship, ad space, it's like okay,
Mm-hmm. Well, and here's the thing with how AI clicks into this too, right? So in looking at some studies on this, the traffic that you get from AI, okay, and remember, it could be zero click too, right?
mm-hmm,
So they could be coming to you directly from the AI overviews or from Perplexity or from ChatGPT. But the traffic that you get from AI, you might get less traffic, right? Because I said there, even though it's going up, it's still lower than what organic traffic is at the
yeah,
moment.
yeah,
But it will convert higher. And the reason is because AI did a lot of the qualifying for you, right? Because
yeah,
somebody might be sitting there going, I want a reputable plumber who doesn't charge, who doesn't have, who's got doesn't rip off people, doesn't charge an arm and a leg for stuff that can come to my house within an hour. Okay. Like, they're doing a
yeah,
lot of qualifications on there. AI, give me who you recommend. And that person shows up. So now they have already been given the answer that they're looking for.
yeah,
They're probably not doing a lot more work on researching you. They might, and the other key is you just got to answer the phone, right? Or you got
yeah,
to get back to them, or you got to show them, if they're going to your website, you've got to show them a link that is easy to see, that is easy for them to use so that
yeah,
they can connect with you. And a click to call is the best way to do it. Depends on the business too, right? Some people
yeah,
don't want to get a call. Some people want to get a form filled out. But plumbers usually would probably like, hey, there's, especially if it's an emergency plumber. Like, I
yeah.
can't believe we're stuck on the plumber analogy here, but I guess that's where I guess this whole conversation's gone down the drain. Pun intended. So yeah, like that's the key. And I
Yeah,
think if people look at their analytics and their SEO reports and say, if they see traffic's up or traffic's consistent but conversions are down, that's not
yeah,
good. If
yeah,
traffic drops
yeah,
but conversions are consistent, or conversions maybe even go up. And you got to always look at the percentage, right? If it's like 1 in 10
Yeah.
and it's always been 1 in 10 and maybe then it goes up to 1 in 8, well, that's good, right?
Yeah.
You're doing well. You always want to focus on the value of your customer. You want to focus on valuable customers, people who are
Yes.
more apt to buy from you than just ask questions or look for the solution themselves or just want to talk. Like
Yeah.
that's a waste
Yeah,
of your
because
time.
just
Yeah,
want to talk is costing you money because they want to talk to
100%.
somebody, and if they're talking to somebody on your staff that you're paying, or they're
Hmm.
talking to you, time is money, and that's
Hmm.
costing you money. For somebody that doesn't want to do business, they just want to
Hmm.
talk and ask you a bunch of questions on, what do you think about this? What do you think I should do? What do you? And you're like, that's what I do for a living, right? I mean, that's what I do.
Yeah.
So yeah. Now, what about virality? Everybody loves to go viral. Everybody
Hmm.
loves that attention, but those vanity metrics versus actual, I guess you would say, monetary metrics.
Hmm. So true story. Okay. And I don't mind saying this. So a few years ago, we had some people who were running my social media here in-house. They wanted to try trending audio on YouTube. They wanted to do things that were a little bit outside the box. So, the way
Hmm.
my YouTube channel works is I talk about, SEO, pretty much what we're talking about now, right?
Hmm.
They wanted to do a short that was a little bit more trendy. So, and I said, why not? Let's give it a shot. And we had a video that I'm not going to say went viral, but it spiked in views.
Hmm.
Like it went like 100 times. And we got a lot of subscribers and we got a lot of views from that video. And it just blew up our vanity metrics. What happened, because I was not within the realm of what I was doing as a topic for my channel, what was happening is then the views dropped off because what the people who opted or who subscribed to my channel subscribed on, which was that viral video with the cute audio and goofy stuff that was going on, they didn't get any more of that, right? They
Okay.
they they only got me talking about SEO.
Okay.
And what that did is the algorithm for YouTube basically stopped showing me, and I had to switch channels. So I was
Oh,
essentially, I don't want to say what they call shadow ban, but I really wasn't being shown up for the proper search terms anymore because of the amount of traffic that came into my site that was not there for the reason I wanted them to be. It's like, it's look, it's great when you can get some attention,
yeah.
but if it's not related to your business, you're going to lose credibility within the algorithms of these platforms, and they
Yeah.
might stop showing you because you are not relating now to what your core audience came in for. So it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out the best analogy. How you and I like to do these analogies on
Yeah.
businesses.
No, that's a
But
great point. It's like having a celebrity at your store, and then all of a sudden that celebrity doesn't come to your store ever again, and people are only coming to see that celebrity. And
yeah.
you're thinking, oh, everybody loves my whatever I offer. And they're
Hmm.
like, wait a minute, that person's not there anymore. They're not coming back. And now all of a sudden, nobody comes to your store, but you
Well,
based it on that one day.
well, take it even a step further. Imagine that celebrity had almost nothing to do with your type of business.
Yeah.
So I could understand if somebody, for example, was they had a I don't know, we'll just say a cooking supply store, a chef supply store, and
Hmm.
let's say I don't know, Gordon
Was
Ramsay.
it named Ramsey? What's that
Yeah.
guy's name? The
Yeah,
top
Gordon,
chef guy?
let's say it was Meet Gordon Ramsay, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to get a bunch of foodies and chef wannabes and all that other stuff there, and they might buy the stuff that you're selling. Now, if you had Gordon Ramsay at a sweater store, okay, or a store that was for some other kind of business, then yeah, you might get a lineup because people are like, oh, I want to see this celebrity, but they're not going to be they're not your ideal customer, right?
Yeah.
And you basically, what you've done is you've had a viral moment that isn't relatable to your business based
Hmm.
on what Google, at that point, with my case, YouTube or Meta looks at as something that is lines up with what you want. So
Yeah.
they're never going to recommend you again for the stuff that you are known for and that for your actual expertise. So yeah, and everybody tries to make viral videos and stuff like
Yeah.
that, but virality happens, organically, right?
Yeah.
I know. You really gotta you don't when you try too hard. I think you wind up losing.
It's just like in the social realm. Those people that are just naturally popular versus those that try too hard to be popular. And you're like, man, this guy's trying too hard.
Mhm.
He the
Yeah.
guy in the corner dancing by himself. He's like, man, he's trying way too hard. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And why? Because he's going after everybody all the time as loud as possible,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Instead of maybe figuring out who's the right person he wants to talk to and focusing on them and maybe doing it in a way that is friendly and that is subdued and informative and is attractive to the other person.
yeah. And that's the key point.
Hmm.
But Adrian, we can talk forever, and we're gonna talk again. But let people know how to contact you. I mean, you're definitely calendar booked, but let them know how they can get in touch with you and maybe do business with you. Yeah, I would say learn more, but they can definitely learn more with the links that you give. But
Hmm.
this isn't about just learning more. This is actually about growing their business. So how they can grow their business with you.
I think the best place to start, Jeff, is my website. So it's numerounoweb.com. And if they want to, get an idea of who I am, I do have, like I said, I do have my YouTube channel up. Like I said, it's a new one.
Mhm.
I had to switch gears because of the algorithm. So it's youtube.com at Adrian Newman SEO.
Okay.
Those are the two best ways. And I have links in there. If somebody wants to book a call with me, they can do it from the website. They can also email me, a.newman@numerounoweb.com. I'd be more than happy to chat with them, learn more about their business, hear about their challenges, and then give them some tips on what I would do to help
Mhm.
change things for the better for their business.
Cool. That sounds like a plan. Hopefully, everybody can benefit, and we'll take action. That's the key. Taking action. Just sitting around learning more is great.
Mm-hmm.
As a college student that went to college, got a great degree, never put in an application anywhere. Ask them how that worked out for 'em. So you got to take action. So to
Exactly.
everybody, we'll sign off and catch us on another one of these business talks. Hopefully, you enjoyed it.